liked about half of what I got from Batman number 142. Alright, maybe 60%. Let's acknowledge at the top here that when you're working on the Batman series proper, in any capacity, you're kind of in the hot seat. Because Batman is DC's most popular character. It's the most popular book. He's one of the most popular characters in the entire industry. And in this case, he's working opposite the most popular villain in the entire industry. And with this Batman gig come a lot of fans and a lot of longtime readers who've been with this character for most of their lives and have deeply held beliefs and convictions about the way certain characters should be portrayed and the way things should be, etc., etc. And naturally you want to please them, but at the same time you want to make your own creative stamp on the legacy of Batman, so it's an unenviable, difficult gig to have. I acknowledge that. So with that in mind, let's dive into this Joker Year 1 storyline, which we're going to get on a weekly basis in the month of February. We seem to be half in the distant past and half in the distant future, with the past stuff being done by Giuseppe Camuncoli, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and the future stuff being done by Andrea Sorrentino. The Andrea Sorrentino stuff, which I believe is colored by Dave Stewart, looks fantastic. It's a real show-stopping performance, and it's very well written as well by our author Chip Zdarsky. Incidentally, if you want to see more Andrea Sorrentino Batman stuff, I would check out Batman the Imposter, which came out a couple of years ago. The stuff that's set in the past, that's drawn by Giuseppe Camuncoli, looks good too, but it kind of hits a snag on the writing front. To me, it feels like this Joker Year 1 story is trying to do literary gymnastics to fit into the continuity with The Killing Joke, 3 Jokers, and 0 Year. 3 high-profile Batman/Joker stories. The Killing Joke thing doesn't really bother me, despite the fact that that story is very controversial in its own right. But the 3 Jokers thing does. It was a really interesting thought experiment done by Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok a couple of years ago. But we're going to need a story somewhere down the line here to fix this and establish that the Joker is just one guy. As for 0 Year, that's the part of the Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo Batman run that I like to pretend just never happened. Yeah, sorry, 0 Year just doesn't do it for me. The Batman series proper is probably the one comic book in existence that's grandfathered into my pull list. Unless something catastrophically bad happens in an unforeseen way, I'm gonna keep reading. This Joker Year 1 story isn't catastrophically bad, of course, but I'm not thrilled with the literary gymnastics that I'm seeing, so to speak. I guess we'll see what's coming. Okay, in order to talk about Batman number 143, I first want to talk about The Killing Joke, which I know for some people is an experience that can range from intellectually stimulating to downright triggering. I'm not going for triggering, just FYI. The Killing Joke is a controversial story when viewed in hindsight, mostly because of how it treated the Barbara Gordon character. I'm not denying or invalidating that school of thought. In fact, I agree with a lot of it. But I think that most people, if they're being honest, can agree with the notion that there was a lot of greatness present in that story. One of the most fondly remembered and indeed powerful parts of The Killing Joke is when the Joker talks to Batman about one bad day. How one bad day can be the difference between sanity and insanity. And that, in fact, that's what happened to the Joker. That's how he became who and what he is. The whole one bad day notion has kind of defined the Joker, at least in large part, for the last 35 years or so. This idea that life's inherent randomness and insanity and cruelty created this monster. Now let's jump to Batman 143, where we're with the Joker, who has fallen into the vat of chemicals, but he's not quite the Joker yet. His sanity is definitely cracked, but it's not shattered, and he's not the maniacal supervillain that he will of course become. This Joker Year One story is introducing the notion that another character, first introduced in Chip Zdarsky's Batman the Knight, found this person who had fallen into the vat of chemicals and essentially molded him into this insane person that becomes the Joker. It's kind of an intelligent design theory of the Joker. That's a way to go, certainly. I don't disagree with the notion that in the real world, evil is usually born from previously existing evil. But isn't the whole Killing Joke idea with life's randomness and insanity, the whole one bad day thing, a lot better than an intelligent design theory for the Joker's creation? I don't know. I like to think that the Joker became the way he is because the world is the way it is, not because he had a bad therapist. And what's weird is that Joker Year One is acknowledging the events of the Killing Joke. So it's not like it's casting it aside at all. It's almost like this story is trying to have its cake and eat it too. On the plus side, the art by Andrea Sorrentino, Giuseppe Camuncoli, and really the entire artistic team is largely masterful. But yeah, this Joker Year One story isn't doing it for me the way that I hoped it would. I guess the upside is, the story is coming out on a weekly basis in February, and we'll be done next week. There's one character that has benefited from being included in Batman 144 and this Joker Year One story as a whole. And it's not the Joker. It's not Batman either. Yeah, Batman 144 is a really strong issue for Commissioner Gordon. Although the story takes place in the past, so he's not the commissioner yet. But he really stands up to corruption in this story. Like physically stands up and fights. Our penciler for the past sequences in this issue is Giuseppe Camuncoli, and our inker is Stefano Nessi, and our colorist is Alejandro Sanchez. And they really stick the landing. They do their best performance yet on this Joker story. Andrea Sorrentino and colorist Dave Stewart continue to do a stellar job on the future sequences in this story. If you want a really dark, pseudo-horror take on Batman and his universe, these are two guys you want to have on speed dial. I'm going to miss them now that the story is over. So while the art from these last 3 issues of Batman has been really strong, from a writing and story perspective, the fact is they tried something and it didn't work. I think part of the reason that the Joker became the way the Joker is because he had that in him all along. And I think that's one of the things that's really scary about the Joker, the fact that all of us kind of have that in us to an extent. So getting back to some of what we saw last issue in issue 143, it doesn't work nearly as well, at least not in my view, when someone has to mentor and mold the Joker into becoming who he is. I think the Joker was kind of a self-made man. Here's one thing I will say though. I've seen some people come at this Joker Year One story with the complaint, "Well, no one asked for this. Why are they giving us this? We didn't ask for this." You know what else I saw that complaint lobbied at quite a bit? Solo, a Star Wars story. "Well, there was no call for this. No one asked for this. Why are they giving us this?" I love that movie, by the way. It's not our job as the audience to order stories and art like they're Big Macs. We allow people that are creative to express themselves, and ultimately the things that resonate with a lot of people will be the things that stick. So I don't fault our author here, Chip Zdarsky, for trying something new with this Joker Year One story. It's just that as far as I'm concerned, it didn't work. It didn't stick. Better luck next time.